Well, good morning, everybody. And as we get started today, I just want to show you the latest all hazards weather map here pretty early in the morning on Friday. And it features, again, flash flood watches throughout Arizona, New Mexico, getting into parts of Utah, Colorado. But this is what's really important here. The front we've been discussing all week is finally sagging far enough to the south that we're going to get the enhancement of the monsoon and that front delivering some rainfall to some of the driest places here in the southern plains. Unfortunately, as I look out at the forecast, I don't know how much farther to the south this gets into the drought-stricken areas of Texas, but to see rains delivered to this area is going to be critical. The front that is through this area continues to extend over into parts of, here into Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, pushing up against the Appalachian Mountains. We even saw more rain there last night, which is why there's still a flood watch that remains. And the severe weather threat today is going to move over to the mid-Atlantic, and I'm expecting a pretty stormy weekend for parts of the Carolinas getting up into Virginia. Now, the heat that you see here in the Pacific Northwest, this is kind of got an expiration date on it, and we're going to start to see the pattern really begin to shift out of this big ridge that's been in the Gulf of Alaska, just breaking right back down into that trough that we saw there throughout much of summer so far. And that allows for the ridge to regain position in the midsection of the country, and that's going to be the bulk of what we're going to talk about here in a few moments. But this southwestern monsoon has been impressive, and we spent a lot of this week talking about the flooding rains that have come through, for example, Missouri and Illinois, getting into Kentucky, out of Indiana, this area here. But I'd like to just show you what's been going on in the Southwest. Some of the videos I included in today's report include just a view of some of the flooding rains that we've seen there. This was out of Arizona near Apache Junction. I want to thank Mark for tweeting this out for us to look at. And then Jessica, this incredible video here of just some of the hail that fell in Estes Park, Colorado. They're having to pick it up here with this front end loader and remove it from the streets. Just an impressive amount of hail there. But if we just stretch this whole last week out and look at its precipitation pattern, you can see the position of that front. It's just been right in through here, very slowly sagging farther and farther to the south, connecting up with the southwest monsoon. A lot of diurnal convection, which is expected down here in the southeast. But we've been drier in Texas, and outside of some isolated storm events here in the northern plains and western Corn Belt, it's been drier as well. Thankfully, it's been cooler in this area, and we're going to talk more about that transition in temperatures in just a few seconds. So let's go take a quick look at the current radar. This goes through last night and shows up this morning with some rains coming through Oklahoma, Arkansas, hitting Memphis, getting across Tennessee. And this is deep in the drought region that needs this rain desperately. So that's about the farthest to the southward extent we're going to see this front make it. It will continue to push east over the weekend, delivering more rainfall here to the mid-Atlantic and the Carolinas. And that's why when we look at the latest 7-day update on total precipitation, we see the extent of that front. So a lot of this rain here is coming today and into tomorrow, and it's going to push east over the weekend. Now, after that, the pattern adjusts and changes in a big way. We still keep the southwestern monsoon. That's not going anywhere. But we're going to develop this Canadian storm track running over a larger ridge that's going to take shape in the midsection of the country. And it'll already be here by the time we get into Monday. This is Monday's jet stream flow pattern. Take a look. There's the first of our triple ridge setup. There's one. The second one will be here. And the third one extends across the open Atlantic Ocean. So that flow is doing this. And we've seen it do that throughout much of this summer, and the rebuilding of this ridge is going to be critical to this upcoming precipitation pattern. So let's take a look at it. Starting off today, Friday in the morning, getting in toward the afternoon and evening, see the storms just kind of curling around that frontal boundary here as high pressure moves into the Midwest. And then we see this going into Saturday and Sunday, just right here along that front. That's where we're going to see the moisture continuing to be delivered to the ground. So more flooding rainfall coming into those areas that were hit hard this week. As we work into Monday and Tuesday, that front finally clears the coast. Now the Canadian storm track sets up, and the pattern's just shifting around. So we'll expect to see active southwest monsoon could push some of this moisture as far north as Idaho, Wyoming, and parts of southern Montana. Diurnal convection here, and then just very weak fronts moving through the upper Midwest, while we see the ridge regain position in the midsection of the country. So out there toward Thursday into Friday of next week, you see that Canadian storm track. Diurnal storms here, weak isolated complexes of storms running through this section of the United States. So by day 10, now we see the position of that ridge fully established. We've been talking about this all week, which results in a week 2 precipitation pattern that's dominated by the things we've been talking about. Canadian storm track, southwest monsoon, diurnal storms in the southeast, and ridge runners coming over the top fueled by weak frontal boundaries. How dry it becomes inside of here is going to be determined largely by isolated thunderstorm complexes and the heat we're going to see in that particular area, and it is going to get hot. Watch the heat come out of the northwest as we go through this weekend. Here it is by Saturday and Sunday, pushing into parts of the Central Plains, and the cooler weather on that front sagging through this area starts to move out as well. Texas stays hot the whole time, and as we get into next Tuesday and Wednesday, the temperatures will already be back up into the triple digits here in the Midwest, while we see cooler weather along the West Coast. I'm getting concerned not only about the high temperatures here, but the low temperatures as well. Just having a look here, next Wednesday morning, we might have low temperatures that knock on the door of 80 degrees here in parts of the Western Corn Belt. And with that increase in temperature comes a change in evaporation rates. We've now seen these areas increase upwards of 1.5 to 2 inches over the next 7 days, while Texas just continues to see its high rates, but they start to fall off on the West Coast as the cooler weather begins to move through. As we finish this up, just want to show you, this is the new CPC guidance on the hazardous temperatures we could be seeing from the 5th through the 11th. Take a look at it in the report. I also include that animation I really like to show here, giving you the kind of the evolution of the temperature pattern moving through the first week of August and then into the second week of August. The models just continue to get stuck with the pattern that's really been dominated by La Nina all summer, with the exception of the last 7 or 8 days. And we also include in today's report a really in-depth look at what this La Nina is doing, where it's going this fall, including multiple global model analysis of it and what it might mean for the hurricane season. So it's all in today's report. I hope you all have a good rest of your day here and a good weekend, and I'll talk to you again on Monday morning. Thanks.